What happens if we just lie to KDP about the content of our books so that we don't get limited in the system? This is a question I get a lot on the YouTube channel, and while I feel like there should be a pretty obvious answer on the legal and the ethical side of this, let's bring in a lawyer and actually have the conversation.
My name is Tony Iliakostas. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok account called The IP Professor that is dedicated to all things intellectual property.
Tony, we've recently talked about KDP's new regulations for disclosing when using AI content inside of the books that you're putting out on KDP. We've had a lot of questions and a lot of conversation inside of the author platforms wondering what happens if I just lie to KDP about AI or anything else to make sure that my books don't get limited or restricted.
Well, a lot of things can happen. The principal, ramification that takes place when you lie, especially when you're uploading content on KDP, is you bear the risk of violating the terms and conditions that are set out by Amazon, and that could lead to an account suspension, maybe even an account removal altogether. I think people are very quick to be dismissive of these types of conditions, and I really cannot stress enough how harmful it is to lie about information of this sort. Not that it's criminal in nature. I mean, we're not talking about a situation where you're making a statement under penalty of perjury, which is oftentimes what you commonly see when you're submitting a statement before a court, or even when you're testifying on the witness stand during a trial. That's not the same nature here. But if you're providing a product and you're trying to be forthright and honest about it, why would you conceal the fact that it was generated using artificial intelligence? Be transparent about it. And I think that that's where, some users or some consumers may either decide to buy all in because they're interested in seeing what something AI generated looks like, or may say, no, I don't want to engage in this product. I don't want to buy into it. I rather buy something that was authentically created by a human author. So bottom line, it really does not pay to lie when you're submitting any type of work of authorship on KDP. You're better off just being transparent, saying that you generated something using artificial intelligence, and just call it a day. And if you don't believe me, a great case study that we've definitely talked about before in previous videos, and all the videos are in our playlist. You can check it out, my conversations with the KM. There's this penultimate case from the Copyright Office recently where a graphic novelist, an illustrator, lied to the Copyright Office saying that all the artwork that they created for a graphic novel was authentically created. And then it turned out that once they got a registration number from the Copyright Office, they went over Instagram and said, aha, I tricked them. I actually made this using artificial intelligence. And it was that tip-off that made the Copyright Office retract the registration and then decide to give a modified version of the registration. The copyright registration would only cover any text or anything that the author authentically created, but any of the illustrations that were generated using Midjourney, albeit being touched up using Photoshop, was not enough to warrant human authorship. That would not be covered under copyright law. So in that scenario, the illustrator, Chris Casanova, lied, ended up getting caught. That same thing could happen to you if you're going to lie to KDP. You could say something isn't generated using artificial intelligence when all the while it is. Amazon finds out. That could lead to an account suspension, maybe even a removal. So then you have to ask yourself, was it worth it at that point?
And we've had a long discussion on many of our videos about how when you're using a program or a platform or a website like Amazon and KDP, you have to adhere to the terms of service of that website. By using it, you agree to those terms of service. So even if you do not read them, you are still beholden to those. And if you are violating them, as Tony said, you can get banned, you can get restricted. And Amazon, we know, is quick to ban first and not even talk about your questions later. So we want to make sure that you are safe and protected with this. Amazon does have ways of finding out. They will learn these things. You can very easily be found out. And if you've got questions on this, which I know you do because you've been dropping them in all of our videos, go ahead and drop those down below. We are happy to get those answered for you. Technology is continuing to improve, and AI is continuing to change. So as things continue to roll out, Tony and I will be back to discuss this more for you to make sure that we are keeping you safe and protected on the AI side of publishing. We've got playlists on the legal side, the creative side, the ethical side of this, and we want to make sure we're helping you to save time and effort with your AI without being icky or problematic or getting banned because of it. So we will see you in the upcoming episodes with Tony. Tony, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at the IP Professor, and you can check out my entertainment law podcast called End Scene. New episodes drop every Friday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you have questions on the legal side of the publishing industry, go ahead and drop those down below. Tony's coming back for upcoming episodes, and I am releasing daily episodes to help you navigate the world of writing, from your writing to your publishing to your marketing, to save yourself time and effort so that you can make more money with your writing, but spend less time doing it so that you have less stress in your life and more luxury time to do the things that you love. So we'll see you in the upcoming daily episodes.